came up from the death meditation last night. Anybody want to share any of that? I guess y'all got to share with each other.
I didn't share with the group really, but I'll share now. Really, mine just focused on my family. I mean, I realized that I really was focused on my family more than anything, and I realized at the end that I didn't even write anything about any of my friends or my career or anything, which I've always known. None of that really. I mean, friends, of course, are important, close friends, but my career really doesn't matter. I mean, it's just, I mean, it matters if I'm happy in it, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What really matters is my family and me and my relationships. But it really was focusing about my family and um, myself, and just taking care of myself and taking care of my family and those relationships, and making sure that I nurtured them, and and made sure that everybody in my life knew how important they were to me and how much they meant to me. And I think the first gonna make me cry because my son that's in college that lives in Austin. My first instinct was, if I only had a few hours left in my life, I would drive to Austin really quick so I could hug him one more time, because I wouldn't have him here, with me at home, and
Yeah.
my other two are here. So that was my first thought, was just like run quickly and hug him one more time physically, because I had the other two here with me, and just how much my kids really mean to me.
Mhm.
And then hurry and drive to Dallas and hug my family there. It was just like I just felt that need for the physical, and I think that that's just right now with everything that's going on in the world. I think that I'm missing the
Sure.
physical part of the touch from everybody. Because even though I've seen my family, like my parents and stuff, I haven't even, like, when I do see them, I'm not physically touching them. So I think I'm missing that.
Sure. Yeah, Lisa. So now that now that you're aware of that, what I think the death meditation can do is help crystallize some things and make clear what was maybe you knew, but what's crystal clear, what's possible from here.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, just that knowing, I mean, I already knew how important they all were, but I think just also just reiterating and re-emphasizing in my life, how important they are, and
Yeah.
how I need to focus more on those relationships, and that the rest of the stuff is just background noise.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's pretty much what my death meditation is usually just the family, right? Like comes up, and then also what's come up, I've done it many times. It's also come up as sort of letting go of grudges and small things I just didn't want to carry anymore, you know, including with my family, you know. Um, so I mean, the beauty of the death meditation is that we are all going to die, but we think that we're going to live forever, right? Like we know we're going to die, but we act as though we're going to live forever, right? And so in a lot of ways, like helped me understand, like, no, I want to live like this could be my last moment, because it's so easy to get caught up in things that don't really matter. It happens all the time to me for sure, whether that's how thinking about how it's, how I'm going to appear to other people, or, whatever that looks like in your life. But in my life, it might be people pleasing, or, accepting things, or I mean, accepting invitations to do stuff that I don't even actually want to do, like takes me out of where I really want to be, with my family, or doing, whatever. Right. And so, hopefully it helps also all of us prioritize a little bit, um, what we choose from here. And there's a Tibetan practice, Tibetan Buddhist practices the that these monks will do. Their aim, their intention, their practice is to do everything that they do as if they'll never be able to do it again. Each thing that they do. So whether that's eating ice cream, right? Like if you knew this was the last ice cream you were going to ever eat, right? you might approach it differently than if you just like grab some ice cream to eat it while you're watching Netflix and not even tasting it or whatever, right? And or talking to a friend on the phone, or walking, going to your favorite place, or playing with your pet, or whatever that looks like for you. Because, the idea is twofold. One is that you get to really savor what you're doing in the moment. It causes you to be more heightened in awareness, mindful, really, present, tuned in. But the other thing is, one of these days, it will be true. And you don't know when that is, right? And so, in a sense, like it could very well be the last conversation. My dad died suddenly, and he was at work, and then he died. So nobody got, like, there wasn't a long, he had a heart attack at his desk at work, which, by the way, is not tragic because he loved his work and he was well past retirement age. He loved doing what he did. So in some sense, it like made perfect sense. But, I was so grateful that my last conversation with him was a good one. It was like, it wasn't so deep or anything, but like we had a good talk, we got along and all that. And I can't imagine what might have happened had it been the other way around, like 10 minutes ago, my daughter just told me she hopes I die because I took away her phone because she didn't do her homework. And I was like, what if I died right now? And the last thing she said to me is, I hope I die. Like that could be, you know what I mean? Like that can happen though. And so, I mean, wouldn't wish that on anybody, but we don't know is the point. And so, I am really grateful. And there are conversations I have with my mom, and she's older, and they don't always go that well, and I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm working on like really listening, giving her the experience of being heard and loved. And she says all kinds of crazy stuff that annoy me. Yeah, that annoys me, but I just kind of like, when I'm doing my best, I just let it go in, just let it pass through, right? And because I don't care about whatever it is that she's telling me that I ought to do instead of what I'm actually doing or whatever that might look like, right? And her particular thing is like who I should be supporting politically and all this. So I just ignore all that. I just go, I don't argue. I just like, okay, I don't care. Because really, do I care about that in the long run? No. Who cares? I mean, in the end, I just love my mom, and if when I get caught up in that though, then I can like, and that's, now I'm not prioritizing what I really care about. And that's what, what you brought up, what you shared, brought up for me. And I'm hoping like, that death meditation might be totally different for you, but it helped crystallize some things and clarify and distill. Maybe it's the right word. It distills what's swirling around into something like, oh, you know what? I got one shot at this thing. We all know that. And yet we live as if we live often as if we're going to live forever. And we get, all these bites at the apple when, really we might get just a few, right? And that's not meant to scare you, but that is meant to inspire you to step into it, whatever, one of the tenets of Baptiste Yoga that we've been talking about, this flow, one of the tenets is you're ready now. You are ready now. And so whatever it is that you've been, we feel like we're getting ready for, you're ready now. On some level, you're already ready, for whatever it is, for joy, for stepping into your future powerfully, for claiming all of your gifts, for letting go of grudges. Now is the time. It's like there's not really going to be a better, perfect time. So you just do it, right? You just do it. And the truth is, sometimes you have some false starts or at least stumble, or let's say if it's around forgiveness, well, I can only forgive to the capacity that I have now. And maybe I don't forgive completely, but maybe in a few years, like when I've started the process, like, oh, now I'm a bigger person, like more expanded person, I can let go even more completely. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like we can do it to the level that we have capacity for now, right? Like if you're going to write the great American novel, you can start now. And it might be a mess at first or whatever, but that's how it works. You get through a process of editing and revising, and instead of like saying, well, when everything is X, Y, and Z, then I'll do this thing, which is our tendency, right? And you know what yoga tells us is that the time is always now. The time is always now, because there isn't any other time. Everything else is either already happened, you can't reclaim it, or who knows, right? It's just like doesn't exist yet, and we don't know. But right now, we could do something, right this moment, and that's about all we can really do. You know, because the pandemic has taught us anything, is that planning, or how's the saying go? We plan and God laughs. Right? We plan and God laughs. And, you know, my plans were to be in Tuscany with a bunch of yogis on a yoga retreat, you know, in September. My plan was, you know, to have retreats all year round at our retreat center. And I had them all booked. The whole year was booked out at the retreat center. All 100% canceled. So it's like, and so then what, you know? I could get angry or I could say, well, what am I ready to do now? Because that's not happening anymore. And it's okay to feel the loss of that, right? And at the same time, like, it's from now I can do something. What does that look like? That's actually why we're here in this teacher training, is because we weren't planning on having a yoga teacher training. And thank God we did. Look, now we all get to be here together, and nobody on our side was planning that. And I'm sure y'all weren't planning on taking this teacher training because it didn't exist, right? So it was truly a, well, what can we do since we're not going to Tuscany, we're not going to have all these retreats, we're not going to be doing that. Well, you know, I only know how to do two things very well. One of them is be a lawyer, which I continued to do, and two is teach yoga. So those two things, yes, you can. My daughter wants to go on a bike ride. Not the one that says she wants me to die, but the other one. Anyway, you get my point. But the death meditation for me has really helped crystallize and hone, like, you know, I really feel like I don't have time to waste messing around with stuff I don't care about. And it won't matter in 5 minutes, won't matter in 5 days, won't matter in 5 years for sure. So I'm quicker to let things go and to redirect back onto the course that I've plotted for myself. Now, does it get thrown off? Of course. You know, and do we forget? Yes. But that's the whole thing of yoga. It's like, just remember and realign, remember, realign, remember. Like when you get out of alignment in a yoga pose, right? Oh yeah, pull your belly in. That's why the teacher's there to remind you, right? Like, you already know to do it, but then you forget to do it breath by breath, right? And then the teacher reminds you, like, oh yeah, I already knew that, but then you forgot. So that's the practice over and over in our lives, on the mat, off the mat. Okay, I just went on a big diatribe. Are y'all tracking with me?